What's going on, Everett? How you doing?
Hey, Gord, what's going on, dude? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
It's been a while. It's been
Yeah,
over a year since I've seen any of you guys. How you been?
no volleyball, man, but we're back. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you're right in the thick of it. For everyone who's watching with us, just real quick, this is well, Gord. First of all, thank you very much for joining us. You're joined here by the Titans Volleyball Club, which is in Toronto. Goes basically all throughout Toronto. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Titans Volleyball Club may be the biggest volleyball club in Canada because it spans from Etobicoke all the way over to Scarborough. Um, and guys, or ladies, gentlemen, athletes of all ages, welcome to the chat. I had a nice little intro prepared, but you showed up. You've got a nice little background going on too. Is this just
this
something
is
you
my
picked, or is
Russian
this?
horse, man. It's wild. I have two of
Oh,
these. I can step
dude,
into
I thought that
Italy
was one
on
of
a
the.
drop of a hat.
That's pretty. I thought that was like one of the Zoom backgrounds.
No, this is
Like,
my house.
but that's
You want a 360 here? This is what Russian living is all about here.
dang. That's actually pretty nice. It's got a little bit of character.
It does, yeah. Little hobbit house.
That doesn't sound so great for a guy who's what, 6'8"?
I hit my head here and there, but I make do.
All right. Well, guys, if just a quick, summation of what Gord has done over the years. Gord is actually the longest standing member of the Canadian national team. You went to the FTC in 2010. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So 2010, after spending 2 years at Thompson Rivers University, and has since really been at the heart of Team Canada and everything they've done. He has gone to one Olympic Games in 2016 in Rio, helped Canada get a fifth place finish there, and also helped Canada qualify for the 2020, now 2021 Tokyo Olympic Games as the captain of Team Canada. So we're really, really lucky to have Gord with us today. He's played literally all over the world. You've played in Turkey, you've played in Italy, in Poland, in China, in Russia, in Brazil, and now you're back in Russia. He just got home from a game last night or yesterday. His team, Ufa got a 3-1 win over Belgorod. I'm assuming you were the MVP because you led the match in scoring with 18 points. Were you the MVP? I know MVPs are a little iffy sometimes in European volleyball.
We don't have an MVP system here in Russia. We just there's no game-to-game MVP, but I'd say I was the MVP. Yeah.
I mean, I would give you
It was
MVP.
also my former club, so it feels a lot better to beat your old club. So that's the
That's
second
true.
time.
That's true. I didn't think about that. How you played 2 years ago. You played for Belgorod, and I mean they're not doing as well this year as they did when you were there.
Yeah, they're having a down year. So, but it happens. Clubs move around, and money comes and goes, and players shift around. So it happens.
Well, since we're on the topic, how about we talk about a little bit about specifically Russia? You're there now. Obviously, Russia might seem like maybe one of the furthest places away for all of the kids in Toronto watching at the Titans Volleyball Club. But what's that experience like? You grew up in Creston, BC, so you grew up in small town British Columbia, and now you're on the other side of the world. And Ufa is not a big place. I'm guessing it might be small town Russia in a sense.
Yeah, it's not small. It's definitely not small. It's over 1 million people, so it's smallish for Russia, but Russian cities are quite large. But yeah, it's amazing. I love it. It's a great league. Some of the best athletes in the world are here, so it's fun to compete. Every week we play a new game and a new challenge, so it's awesome. A lot of fun to compete here.
I'm sure kind of one of the first questions kids, when they're learning about professional volleyball is ask is like, what do you do about language? I think one of my favorite things from this season has been your club coming up to you with a camera and just sticking in your face and speaking Russian to you and trying to see what you say back to them. So like, what do you do in terms of the language around the team?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a barrier, but you get used to it. This is actually the hardest season I've had to deal with language. Usually your coach will speak a little bit of English. You'll have a manager that speaks, your manager should speak English well for the team. And I got nobody here except for our other foreign player that speaks Polish, Russian, and English. So I use him if I need to understand something. But it's volleyball. At the end of the day, you learn how to play and be resilient on the court, and I think that helps us all when we join the national team too, because we're just used to playing and we can understand the game a lot better. But I mean, if there's some confusion, you'll definitely just slow it down and go through a painfully awkward series where you try to understand what the coach is saying. But our coach here speaks Italian, and we're 3 months into the season and he still thinks that I speak Italian, but I don't speak Italian. So that's how we communicate. We communicate in Italian, but I only know a few words in Italian.
I mean, you're still in the top 20 in scoring and your team's still in the playoff race. So something's got to be working out, even if you don't speak Italian. Do you think Russia suits your game style the best? Where you're big, you're a physical player, but your ball control is maybe higher for an outside player of your size.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I pride myself on being good at everything wise. So I like to think that I can go anywhere and have a good result in any league. But Russia definitely, I think, is somewhere that smaller players, technical players do struggle because they want power, they want good serving. And then if you combine the two of them, you can be really successful here because it is a league of power. And if you can mix them together, you can do really well. So
that obviously is the case with you. We've had a few other Canadians who have played in Russia over the years, but I don't think many have gone back for a second year like you have. What's it been like? One thing I've noticed, the biggest thing I've noticed about watching your games and other games in Russia is that you guys actually have fans in the stands. So what has volleyball been like so far, specifically for your case, given the COVID-19 situation around the world?
Yeah. Well, some games there are fans, some games are not. We started without fans, but now they're starting to add them in. I think 20%, 40%. It's kind of different city by city, just because there's different COVID restrictions. It's such a big country. So, but now I feel it's business as usual. We train twice a day. We prepare for a match every week. We get tested every week for COVID. That's obviously the biggest thing that we go through. But and starting was tough. Our whole team got COVID right off the hop. So we forfeited basically 5 games. We played with
not even canceled. Or
we played with our junior team. So I like to say forfeit. We sent I think over half our roster was from our junior club, which is they're teenagers and first year pro. So we lost 5 games right out the gate, and but now we're back together and we're starting to play well. Yeah, interesting start. Obviously starting out with getting COVID and most of the team getting COVID, but we worked through it, and now I feel like I'm in a groove. I'm feeling good, and the biggest thing is you worry about people back home. You worry about you don't know what's going to happen with the Olympics. So I think that's the biggest wild card that's going on around it. But as far as our club team and day-to-day, week-to-week games is quite normal.
So you mentioned the Olympics. Obviously, I definitely remember what you guys did last January. I think that come from behind win against Cuba is either the first or the second best game I've ever seen you guys play. It's either that one or when you guys beat Brazil in Toronto back in 2012. And you qualify for the Olympics. How did you feel when first Team Canada announced that they'd be stepping away from the 2020 Olympics, and then after that, the Olympic Committee decided to postpone the Olympics last year.
Yeah, that was tough. I was just getting ready for the playoffs in Brazil, and it all happened within a week or two, like kind of for everybody, it came out of nowhere. And then, so I got home as quick as I could and just, canceled the rest of the season. And then, yeah, it was tough because you're gearing up to play, you're ready for it. You're preparing for it. You're about to take on the best athletes in the world. And then, the next week you're doing a body weight workout on your front lawn thinking like, what the hell is this? And then it carried on for weeks at a time. And then, I kind of had to take a step back from preparing for the Olympics and having that even in my mind at the time. It kind of had just to be a day-to-day thing and, get my little work in what I could and spend time with my family. I started golfing and doing this and that. And actually now I think it helped me both mentally and physically. I'd been dealing with a back injury the last 3 years, and that gave me time to, take care of that properly and take a step back and really evaluate why I want to play the game and what I love about the game, and really get a clear look at my goals for the Olympics. And now I feel great. I feel great physically. I feel great mentally. I'm excited to be playing, and I'm looking forward to 2021.
So can I go on record and say that we've got a newly rejuvenated Gord Perrin to lead Team Canada into the Olympics this year? Is that the story here?
I'll stamp it.
That's a scary thought if you're anyone but Canadian, because if anyone has seen you play when you are healthy, it is scary sometimes. I
feel great, Everett. I feel really good right now. I really do.
That's perfect. Now, you mentioned, do you think, how important was taking that time off throughout that whole experience? Because there's one thing about being a pro volleyball player is that, especially if you're on the national team, is that you don't get an off season. You go from your club season, and as soon as you're done with the club season, you're in Gatineau with the national team, competing in what I think might be the most ruthless schedule in all of international sport. There's no international sport that runs their athletes like dogged and dry like volleyball. So how important was that time off and that rest for you this summer?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, we don't stop. We continue to play. So at times you're just kind of stuck in the fog, and you're just playing every day. I was playing on a big team in Brazil. We had a lot of big championships, a lot of big high pressure games, and then it filters into the national team. So you can get caught in a fog of, why am I doing this? I haven't seen my family in how long? And it's been year after year of volleyball and volleyball and volleyball. And, when you take a step back and you really look at the opportunity you have in front of you, and you really reassess why you want to do it and why you love it so much. And I really believe it was good for me. And I think it's good for our team. And I think that everybody's going to be very focused and ready for 2021.
Why do you love it so much?
I love to compete. I think it could be really anything. I don't think it needs to be volleyball, but I love to compete, and it's just a direct, you step on the court and either you win or you lose. So, I mean, sport, it's just undisputed, So I love that part of it. And then volleyball, I love the game. There's so many different parts of it. And, like you said, there's the physicality, and then there's the skill. There's just a lot of different levels to the game, and it's a great team sport. So yeah, there's a lot of different reasons, but those are the ones I can think of.
Guessing, you just talked about competing. You could say it could be anything. I'm guessing for sport, wasn't the first one that you tried. So how did you get started into volleyball, and how did you, you know, how did you get started? And then when did you really start to see like, hey, I could actually do something with this. I can actually go somewhere with this.
Yeah. Well, I grew up, I got an older brother. He's 2 years older than I am. And we grew up in a big family. Had a lot of aunts and uncles around that had big families as well. So I had a lot of cousins. We'd play pickup games of anything, floor hockey, volleyball, whatever we could do. And so I was just active as a kid right away, and just learned to compete against all my cousins and my siblings. And then when my brother started playing organized sports, I joined, and he was always 2 years ahead of me. So I just felt like I got that head start. And then when we went into high school volleyball and basketball, I was just good enough at the younger age to join his team. So I think that really helped me, get ahead of the kids my age. So, and then volleyball wise, I think I started playing club. I come from a really small town in Crescent, BC. I'm sure Torontonians never heard of it. It's a small farming community in southeast British Columbia. So we didn't have a club team. We didn't have our own club. So I had to join the region. It's called the Kootenay region, and it's quite a big area. So I had to travel an hour to training. So I would train once, maybe twice a week, and we went to can't remember what tournament it was, but I strung something together. I played pretty well as an athletic kid, and then I got invited to play for the provincial team, and then that was when volleyball started to be, the sport of choice for me moving forward.
And then, you spent 2 years at Thompson River at TRU. Is that it? Just two or just one? Three. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you were kind of the first generation, and I said you're the longest standing member of the national team. But when I think you were one of in that first generation of FTC guys, and you were really one of those first guys to leave school early to go pursue volleyball and to go train with the national team and to start playing professionally. And how, is that a decision that you ever regret, or is that something that you believe really helped you in the long run?
I definitely don't regret it. No, I enjoyed my time in school, and it's just a place to play where it's low stress now that you think back in it. But I definitely don't regret it. It was time. I felt like I was ready to take the next step, and if I wanted to play volleyball, that was night and day the right choice to make, is to join. And I got to play on that world championship team in 2010. I forgot to, that was the first year I made it. So I went to Italy with the team, and then that summer I joined the FTC. So that was a big, indicator that I was good enough to be at that level already. And when I got chosen for that roster at 20 years old, I knew that within a few years I could be one of the best players on the team. So it was an easy decision for me to make that move at the time. And I had Jason Duraco was also the same age as me, and we'd been talking a little bit, and we've been close friends for years, and we both just kind of felt it was the right decision for us. We wanted to just pursue volleyball, and we'd come back to school if we ever had to. And then I joined Glenn's pro team after playing the world championship. Obviously he was a national team coach, and then he coached professionally in Turkey. So he offered me a 2-year contract to join his team. And that was my first success on the pro stage as well.
Now, when you started realizing where you could go with volleyball, regardless if it was, making that jump to the provincial team or kind of jump to TRU or to the national team, what were some of the key decisions that you made that allowed you to kind of bring your game to the next level?
I think just the fact that I was never afraid to take that next step and to play against players that are better than me, more physical than me. And, like I grew up obviously playing with my brother, and I was just never the best player when I was young, just because they're older, stronger, more physical. And it just makes you learn to be better in different areas. So you can't just use your physicality. And that was, I think, the biggest reason that I had to leave university, is that it wasn't making me a better player. So it was the right time to move to the national team. And then I kind of started the same phase, I'm at the bottom and I have to work my way up and develop better skills and be better in the gym and do different things so that I can challenge the next level of players. So, and then I think the rest is just, and just belief that I think that's one of the strongest things that separates most of the players now, is that most players have good physicality, good skills. If you're a professional volleyball player, I think the biggest difference is just the belief in yourself and the confidence to do it in the right moments.
I think, you talk about that belief, and I think how much, and just to give the kids for the Titans Volleyball Club just some context, when you joined the national team for the first time at the World Championships in 2010, Canada was ranked 27th in the world, and we were losing games to Puerto Rico at NORCECA Championships. That's just kind of, we weren't in World League at the time, or what we now know as Nations League. We weren't a team to even take note of. How much, if you fast forward from back then to now, 10 years later, where not only were we qualifying for the Olympics, but we're a team that everyone knows about on the world stage completely. Everyone knows about Canadian volleyball now. How much of that belief is a part of that?
Yeah, I think it's very important for the whole team and the program to buy in, and it happens when you win, right? It's hard to say, you need to believe in yourself, and then you go get your ass kicked by Puerto Rico at a NORCECA, and it's like, well, and now how are we going to beat Brazil? How are we going to beat Russia? So I think there was moments where we got those wins and we started to, a little light bulb went off, and then, we could do this. And then the attitude changed. There was moments where we were approaching these tournaments more of let's see if we can actually do something and place high in this tournament. And so it definitely, I think it's very important for not individually and a team to really believe that you can win, and not bow down to a team because they're higher ranked or they've done this and that. Respect is what you make of it. When you play a team that's better than you, it's one thing to respect them, but it's another thing just to bow down and believe you're going to lose to them. So I think it was very important for us.
It's been, I love watching it most from the perspective of you guys against the States, and just the fact that there became a certain point that if you look at Canada and US's record since 2015, that Canada is actually slightly better. Like, you guys have beaten the US more, just a slight bit. And I just feel like, just like in 2016, we were able to walk into the first game of the Olympics and hand the US a loss, that you guys truly believe that you belong in echelon of teams in the world. And I think it's really, that attitude has permeated throughout the rest of Canadian.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still think we got a room to grow and get better in that. Just thinking back on that last Olympics, it was still, I don't think everybody did. I definitely don't think it was a full team of we're there to win a medal. I think it was somewhere in the psyche, but it wasn't front running. And I think now we're more prepared, we're more well-rounded, and I think that that's kind of our, it's front and center that we can do this, and we will do it. So
what's been one of your favorite, or maybe like most cherished moments with this group? Or, obviously not this group of guys, because there's been so many different little iterations of groups over the years, but what's one or two moments that you can really remember from your time with Team Canada?
Definitely qualifying for the Olympics, for Rio Olympics is got to be one of the top ones. And then, then it was just so emotional. It was such a long tournament, and we went through the first qualifier. We didn't make it, and we were the favorites to win. And it was just devastating. We were all destroyed, and we had to go back to our pro seasons. We were mid-pro season, and it was, the first couple weeks after, it was kind of just like, whatever, it's over. Let's not even think about it again. And then we regrouped. We met in the spring, and it was a long tournament. We had a lot of games against a lot of good teams, and it came right down to the wire. And then, celebrating, having that pressure lift off your shoulders, and realizing that you just did something special. It was just a crazy feeling. So that one has to be number one. And then when we medaled in World League was special too, because it was the year after, and it was, there was a lot of people talking about, is this, a lot of guys are leaving the team. Is this team going to be good? Is this that? And, so it was very, a mixed group, and we performed through all of it, and got a medal on the world stage. So that was also a huge moment.
Is there any lesser moments that you look back on, times when you've failed and that you kind of like hold on to maybe fuel yourself moving forward?
There's a lot of down moments. I'll definitely say that, but I don't hold on to them for that long. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of tough losses where every time you have a tough loss, your mind kind of drifts, and that's what kind of grinds you down over time when you don't take a break, is that you kind of question every loss and this and that. But I don't think any of them stay with me now. That I don't use any of them for motivation. No, maybe there's moments in games that I'll try to, maybe there's a player that I dislike, or there's something like that they can get me going for a game, but I don't think I hold on to losses so much.
Fair enough. Do you approach the game differently now than you did 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I'm as emotionally attached to winning or losing. When you're young, and it feels like the world, and if you lose a game, before the game, you're thinking about, am I going to win? Am I going to lose? Am I going to play well? Am I going to get this? Am I going to get that? And there's just so many different variables that you're thinking through your head when everything's happening right in front of you that you should be thinking about. So now I know that, if I lose a game, if I lose a point, if I miss a serve, it's not the end of the world. There'll be another one. There'll be another game. There'll be another serve. And I think that is the biggest thing with maturing as an athlete, is understanding that every action's not the end of the world. Every game's not the end of the world. There'll be another one. So I think that's the biggest thing that I can take with me now.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I remember one time specifically with you where, you might not like this memory, but we were playing here in Toronto, and we guys played Portugal, and you guys lost to Portugal, and you specifically got 2 or 3 sets right at the end of the set to kind of win the set and be able to extend it, and you missed them. And I remember interviewing you after the game and asking you about it, and you were visibly upset. And then you turned around and basically tore up. And I think you hit 60% of the rest of the World League. And that was the first time that Canada ever qualified for the World League finals in Russia that year. And I remember watching you kind of beat yourself up for not being able to get the job done at the end of that game against Portugal. I remember it was in Mississauga. And then the rest of the game, or the rest of the tournament, you were lights out. And I remember because that was also the night that Gavin Schmidt got injured. And it was just like, oh, there's no more Gavin. everything's on Gord. You weren't able to do it that night, but you didn't let up for the rest of the tournament. And then I felt like you really took the next step at that summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. But honestly, I don't even remember that game now, but I do remember now that you brought it up. But yeah, I think that looking back at it now, it was definitely a big step for me and for our team. You know, Gav was such a huge part of our team for so long, and then him getting injured there for us to flourish under different players was huge for us. So yeah, and that was also, it was early too. So, but I take a lot of responsibility. You know, I don't like, and especially in that fashion, like you said, I remember it now that I made, you know, 2 or 3 direct mistakes at the end of the game. So I was completely responsible for our team losing, and that bothers me a lot. So that definitely at the time lit a fire under me. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Now you obviously, we talked about Gavin a little bit. Who has been, maybe 1 or 2 of your favorite teammates on Team Canada over the years? And it doesn't necessarily need to be, someone like Gavin, who obviously was this beast of a player. Maybe it's someone more of a friend, or, someone that brings a lot of value to the team that maybe isn't necessarily on the starting roster.
None of my teammates are going to see this. Is that, or are they going to see?
They might see it.
Huh?
They might see it.
I've had too many great teammates over the years. Now on the team, if I can't say all time, there's just too many great teammates and friends that I've had. But the team that we have now, we have a lot of great guys, great leaders. He's such an energy guy. He's a great floor general. So he brings a lot off the court and on the court too. I look to him a lot when I'm out there. Just it doesn't even have to be something that's too technical or tactical about the game. It can just be look at him and give him a good smile in the game, and it brings you comfort. And Graham, I've played, and these guys I've played with for years. Graham, grew up playing junior team with him, and I just think as players we know each other the best. He's just a reliable player. He can hold everyone accountable, and Jay Blankenau as well. We grew up together playing. So there's just so many guys. TJ, we accomplished a ton together. He was, the first setter that we just developed such a great connection together, and was able to have great success. So I definitely owe him a lot as well. So, and then there's a lot. There's tons of guys, but of the group now, yeah.
What do you think makes someone a good teammate?
Definitely someone. It just depends, because there's so many different styles of teams, but to me, I think it's someone that won't take things personally and shares the same goals, and they're there for the same reasons. It's funny because it's not what makes a great teammate is not what makes a great friend. So I think that is tough at times, because you can be great friends with each other, and then sometimes it doesn't work on the floor because you're just not able to push each other and achieve the same things. But I think definitely you have the same goal sets and the same drive and passion to achieve things, because if one side of the friendship, say if it's a friendship, is not pulling their end, and it gets frustrating, someone's giving more and the other's not. But I just think someone that's not afraid to hold the other people accountable and have the same goals as you.
Do you think someone who, obviously it's you as team captain of Team Canada, it's your job to keep people accountable, but you mentioned how many good leaders are on the team. Is it just as important for someone who's maybe not a starter, to help keep, the rest of the team accountable just as much as it's your job to do so?
Yeah, it can be. Definitely can be. I don't read too much into being the team captain. That's not something that, I wear on my shoulder as a chip at all. There's tons of great leaders on the team, like you said, that have been here since the beginning as well. We've played together since we were 19 on the junior team, and there's just so many great leaders on the team that we're all able to do it together, and we all have different things that we bring to the team and different leadership styles. So, but I definitely think that if it comes from the right person at the right time, then it can be anyone. It doesn't need to be the best player. It doesn't need to be, the team captain. So we have a great bunch of guys now that are all dedicated, and we all share the burden for sure.
How do you, how do you approach your role as team captain? And what can you mentioned, obviously you don't keep it as a chip on your shoulder, but what does it mean to you to be, captain of Team Canada?
Yeah, it's definitely a nice, gesture of what you've accomplished to be given team captain. Like I can't ignore that. And when Antigua asked me to be the captain, it was, it was cool. It was a lot of fun, just to reflect on what you've done with the team and what you've done for the country of volleyball. And, my mom's going crazy. She's excited. So for that, it is kind of cool, definitely. But as far as how the team functions, and I didn't change anything. It was the same. I think it's important not to think you have to do anything special and over lead, because people see right through that. You need to be true to who you are and how you like to lead the team. And like I said, we play, most of our volleyball is played overseas and professionally. Like you said, there's not a lot of communication, so we know how to play the game. We don't need a lot of, we don't need to baby each other on the court. We don't need, the soft loving all the time. So I take it more as to take responsibility as to on the court, like you said, to make the big plays in the big moments. I like to think that's one of my roles as team captain. And then I think that's contagious too. I can, help the younger guys understand that as well, that it's not the end of the game. If you make a mistake, you will make mistakes, but, be ready in the moment. So
I think one thing that I've maybe remembered about your game more so watching you this year in Russia, and you just mentioned, those big players make big plays and big moments. But I think one thing that you've really embodied this year in Russia is that maybe those big plays aren't necessarily the big kill at the end of the rally or the big block. Maybe it's the solid pass at the beginning of the rally, or the ball that you pick up halfway through, or the ball that you've covered off of the block for your teammate. And I've noticed that, especially maybe it's the dynamic on your team this year. The team obviously wants to make your right side hitter, he gets the most volume, he gets the most amount of sets, and you find your little ways to make sure that you guys are succeed in those big plays. And how did you, when did you start realizing that you could affect the game in different ways other than just your offense abilities?
Yeah, definitely. I've always been fascinated by every part of volleyball. It's never been just attack for me, and it was always a thing that I wanted to be as good as possible. When I left university, when I joined university, when I was in high school, that was the biggest thing about me, is people said that I couldn't pass. I played Team BC as a middle, and then I went back to my high school team. I was playing as an outside, and every year I came back and said, no, we're putting you back in the middle. You can't pass, this and that. And then that was one of the things I focused on the most, was reception. Sorry, my cat is going nuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. He's got like the little, is girl or boy?
Yeah, he's a boy.
Okay, yeah, he's got that little like stoop, that little perch to hang out.
Oh yeah, he loves it up there. Yeah, I've been gone for a couple days. He's happy to have me back. He's pretty pumped up.
That's great.
Yeah, I forget what I was saying there.
Yeah, so do I actually. Cute cats always get me. Always get me. Cute
Yeah,
cats
with
and cute dogs.
trying to be good
Um,
at every part of the game. Um, and then I remember joining when I went to university. I made that, one of my main focuses, that I wanted to be better at that. And then actually when I joined the national team and joined Glenn in Turkey, there's actually an article it was about me joining the team, and his report on me was that I was a good receiver and I need to work on my attacking. So that was, it's a cool moment for me to be like, I mean, attacking I can do. That's easy for me as long as I got, the acceptance on reception, then the rest will come.
is there one thing like for you to get better at passing? Obviously, passing is like the fundamental volleyball skill. Is there one thing that you focused on to get better at it, or was it just reps?
Um, reps, yeah, but it's hard to say that that's everything because everyone gets reps too, and it's not everyone can make the same adjustments. But I think belief is huge. Like I really think it is, and I've always believed that I could do it. And every year I went to the team and I was just frustrated. They put me back in the middle. I knew I could pass. I knew I could figure it out. And so I believed in my abilities to do everything. And then once I got the reps and the proper coaching, I had a lot of good coaches that believed in me too. Pat Henley was one of them that really believed in me on the outside, and Chris Green on the junior national team. It was big for me to get that, confirmation from a good coach that said, yeah, you can receive at a high level, and you can be an outside at a high level. So I think, attributed a lot to the coaching. I had a lot of good coaches that helped me along the way, and obviously the reps, and then just believing in myself and my ability.
I think that's a pretty good step to take. Now you talked about belief. Switching gears here a little bit, looking forward to this year. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty still about what's going to happen with this year. But in a perfect world, we've got normal volleyball competitions. There's Nations League, and we've got the Olympics. What do you think? Like leading into these two teams, what do you think about the belief level of the team? I personally think it's kind of be at an all-time high the way that you guys left everything off in January. But what does that? What do you think that looks like potentially in the summertime?
Yeah, I think so. There's definitely not anyone in the world that scares me personally that I think that we can't beat. There's a lot of good teams, don't get me wrong, but I believe that we're one of them. And we're a very athletic team that has gotten very skilled over the years and improved a lot over the years. And we're well coached now. And I just don't think there's really anything that's holding us back. I think that we have everything we need. And as long as we show up, everybody's motivated, and that belief system is strong. And I think the VNL will be important for us to get, some good matches under our belt. It's not going to be, make or break it right off the beginning, because there's going to be some growing pains. There always is. There'll be guys resting in and out, but it'll be a great, we'll be able to size up other teams in the world and get a good idea of where we're at. And yeah, I do think we're heading into the Olympics in a very good headspace and a very good team, and I think we'll be tough to beat.
Great. That's what I love to hear. Now, I think it's about time to wrap it up soon, but just one last question for you. What's one piece of advice that you could give to, a kid, club age kid, maybe specifically from Titans Volleyball Club, who can help, what's that one piece of advice you could give to a kid, a young volleyballer who wants to take that next step?
At a young age, I'd say just enjoy the game, develop a strong passion for it. Don't think too much about, you know, if I'm going to be a professional player, if I'm going to join the national team, if that's what your goal is, because there's a lot of things that'll have to happen in between, and there's just so much to go right or wrong. So there's just so much in between where you're at and that goal. But just develop a strong passion for the game and work on your skills every day and try to improve and always try to play guys that are better than you, play other kids that are better than you. If you get a chance to play up, and just don't take too much pride in beating players that are lower skill level than you, because you're not going to learn. The only way to expose what you need to get better at is to play someone that's better than you. And then that'll show you what you need to work on, you know, really quick. It'll be tough, but that's the best way to learn. And then from there, once you've built a strong base, is, you know, just work on your confidence, believe that you're made to do it, and go out and challenge the rest of the players.
Great. Well, Gord, really appreciate you. Can't thank you enough for joining us today. I know that when I was, you know, the age of the club kids out here, from the U12s to U17s of the Titans Volleyball Club, that I would have loved to talk to the national team. Of course, there was no Zoom back then. I'm starting to get a little bit old, but we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. Best of luck with the rest of your season in Russia, and can't wait to have you come home back to Canada, and can't wait to watch you go on another run this summer.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to Blair McIntosh and David Pagnolo for setting this up. And my name is Everett Delorme. Thank you very much. And we will see you next time. Gord, thank you very much. Go get some rest, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, right on.
See you guys.